There was a Heinz advert. Heinz make the beans and the ketchup. They did a campaign for their latest ketchup, right? And if you haven't seen the poster, go check it out. It's on Google, but it's basically, so there's a few, but the one that I'm referring to is of a wedding shot in which a joyful looking dark-skinned black woman is in her wedding dress. She's clutching a fork of pasta in tomato sauce. She looks very unconcerned. The sauce has dripped down her dress. Sat beside her is a man who we're going to assume is the groom. He's white. And, confused looking older black woman, you could again, we're going to assume is the mother. On the other side are the two older members of this particular wedding party. They're both white, who again we're gonna assume are the parents of the groom. My problem is there's notable. Where's the father? Where's the black father? Because the man is, the groom is white, and the bride is black. And I didn't clock something that Nels Abbey, who has been on our podcast a couple of months back, did clock. And it was, well, where's the black dad? There's an older black woman in this shot who, again, because we're going to assume is the mother of the bride. But where's the black dad? And I wanted to bring it up because Nels made a complaint on Twitter to Heinz, say, yo, this isn't cool. And what I wanted to kind of speak to you about was the fact that and hands up, I'll be honest, until Nels flagged it, I didn't notice there wasn't a black dad in this shot. But secondly, do we think there is something that this is incompetence, a theme here? Do we think there's incompetence on behalf of Heinz and the company that did this advert, or is something a lot more pernicious happening here to erase or make a point about the lack of dads involved in the family setup, black dads?
I need to see the stats, I need to see the stats. Sometimes these advertising companies, they get the stats and they go like, if this is how people are living in 2024,
so I thought that as
we
well.
want to reflect that.
So I thought that as well. Did they think the reality is there are a lot of white black women who didn't grow up with their dads?
I don't know about that, but I think maybe they're thinking, race aside, let's represent the people who only have one parent, whose parent might have died, and let them know they exist still, or whose parent who have come from a single family. Do you see what I mean? So maybe they thought they were being more inclusive and more
these things,
diverse by having a single parent family there.
But isn't it convenient they did it with a black woman?
Yeah, but then I think they just didn't want to pay another black person. That's how I feel. Do you see what I mean? I'm like, they made a decision to pay one less black person because that's how the industry works. Now that might be, you can call me racist if you want, but that's me just being like, they made a decision of, let's have a black family and and they've gone, well, that family's got 2 people to pay and that one's got 3, so let's just, that's how I feel. Sometimes I just think these media companies, they just,
so
or they genuinely feel like, if we've got too much diversity in the shot, then people won't buy the product. Like, that's what I mean when I say all of these focus groups where they're interviewing, they're asking people these questions. So they'll show them two adverts and they'll show one that's got more ethnic minority people in the other, and they'll say, which one do you think is better? Or which one would you be more likely to go and buy the product? Genuinely. So they'll probably say, like, our other focus group showed us that although they want single families, they don't want too much blackness. So I swear to God, people think that I'm absolutely crazy, but I can tell you now that they are probably painting by numbers, to use a crude phrase, where they've thought, we've ticked a bit of diversity, but we haven't gone too far. We've got a little bit of this, we've got a little bit of that. Perfect. That is how. So
you think that if the focus group and the numbers suggest that that is the case, the backlash they may receive for not just having another black dad in there significantly influences and impacts the possible sales of that product?
Maybe.
Because I'm thinking these sort of things are signed off by 20 people, right? And you can't tell me that one of those 20 people, even the photographer taking the photo, who may not have a lot of influence, are thinking, right, this is the setup, we're doing this shoot, we're going to do the shoot. this doesn't. One person in the studio didn't think to themselves, this doesn't look right.
Maybe someone did. But again, you've got to understand that some of them, they're probably patting themselves on the back because they've got 2 black faces there. So in that room, people are going, we've got diversity in terms of race. We've got diversity in terms of family makeup because we've got a single parent home. We've smashed it. And the problem is when you're in a room like that is that, firstly, most people don't have the confidence to actually speak out, particularly if they're in the minority, particularly if it's an issue like race, because if they are an ethnic minority person, it's like, oh,
their job's on the line.
Here we go, the angry black person again. Oh, another advert you're not happy with. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So you can't always, you know, maybe there was someone in the room who either didn't speak up or did and wasn't listened to. But also, you know, when you're in a room like that, and you have the boss come in and say, we've got it, we've nailed it, that's the presumption. The boss is happy. You know, it's very hard for people to be like, I think you're wrong. Like, and again, you're not in the room, you don't know who works for them, you don't even know if Heinz, genuinely, you don't know if they might, you know, their head of marketing might have tipped it off.
They've got to sign it off at the end of the day.
Yeah, they might have signed it off, but you got to understand that they might employ a company and they've gone, do you know what we should do? We should go out and find a really diverse company. Imagine they've done that. And the diverse advertising companies come back to them and said, we've got you something that has diversity in it, that has a diverse family group. And Heinz are going, we make beans. They're going like...
We don't care that much, really.
No, it's not that they don't care. They're going like, well, if a company that we've employed for a specific reason to give us an advert which is more diverse are telling us that they've nailed it, we can't go back to them and be like, can you add a black dad, because they're going to be like, maybe you can, but maybe to Heinz that didn't stand out. Maybe they've been sold it in a way that like, you have put a brilliantly diverse advert out there. You know, you've shown a single parent home. You've got a mixed a couple getting married who are from 2 different backgrounds. You've got a single parent black people. So, listen, again, I still think it was absolute bullshit. I've made every defence for them.
No, and you've done well. You've done well, to be fair. But, I just want to read something from an article that Nels did right, because I thought it was interesting. Looking at it on the tube, I reflected on how much the concept of the deadbeat or missing father has cost us. It's not that it doesn't happen. Everything's Gonna Be Alright, a tune by Ghetto Bastard, a famous anti-deadbeat father recorded by rappers Naughty by Nature, sprung to mind. It was a song I knew line for line as a 10-year-old, former foster child, before I met my own biological father. But that detachment isn't a given, and it certainly shouldn't be the basis for an executive's lazy assumption. So what is the impact for black people? So I think your defences are all fair and probably legitimate, but for our community, what is the impact of people seeing that and the reinforcement that black dads just aren't around, don't exist?
There's a lot of that, man. There's another advert. I can't remember what it is. This is a TV advert where there is a young kind of mixed heritage girl and she's getting married and her stepfather's white and he buys her, I don't know if it's like a necklace or something like that. And they go, and you just, you know, it's not that they say that the black father's absent. It's not that they say, you know, he might have passed away, for example. Like they never really tell you why he's not there, but it's apparent that he's not there. Listen, the issue, to answer your question, there is obviously an effect. There's an effect there that I think is worse outside of black communities, to be honest. Because I think that stereotype, it persists.
That hang around,
People will look at that advert through a different lens to someone who's black, and they won't notice. Or again, it'll just be like, oh yeah, that's a common thing. You know, the black dad's not there. And obviously, I don't know what the percentages are again, but I think it's probably highly common that there are absent white parents. Again, maybe it's where I grew up, but I know plenty of people who were from different communities whose dads weren't there to the same rate as the black friends that I had. So maybe that's just my anecdotal experience. But my issue is that we allow, I think, too much on the media landscape that is negative stereotypes of black people. You know my thoughts, and I know people, you know, will be unhappy about me saying this, but shows like Top Boy that were highly successful But again, I've never been into anything that and I'm biased. I'll happily say that I'm biased. But if the show's centered around black criminality, I'm not a fan of it.
Not interested.
And it's not that those shows shouldn't exist, because plenty of shows exist about criminality in other groups. The point is, the full story needs to be told. If you're Italian American, you must be pissed. The only time your story really gets told is a gangster, mafia type story. If you're from an Italian American background, you know, those people should be unhappy about that. But if you're a Chinese American, what stories get told about you? You're a geeky kid who is into maths. Your family owns a dry cleaners or a takeaway. Those are the stories that get told in America anyway. If you're an Indian American family, what the story? Your dad owns a corner shop. Those are the stories that the media tells about your families. So you should be unhappy about that. And I think we should be unhappy in Britain as black communities that there's far too many shows commissioned, even if they're frivolous stories about superheroes or whatnot, but where are they based? Who are the characters based on? What do they do with their lives? What do they do with their jobs? Because, you know, it's not even reinforcing negative stereotypes at this stage. It's creating.
Making it up.
It's creating negative stereotypes. And that's the issue. You know, very rarely do you see, even down to soap operas, you know, they've had token families from different groups. And over the years, they have been quite tokenistic in terms of what they do for jobs in those soap operas, etc. But now it's like, that's why I think the main characters are so important when it comes to big movies, when it comes to big films. That's why that's again why I was so hurt by people like Will Smith's actions, because he had reached the stage where he could be a middle class.
He could change minds,
bro. His characters had reached a stage where he could be anything. He could be, even Denzel's not anything. Denzel Washington has done roles where he's a lawyer, where he's a Navy SEAL, where he's done roles where he's everything, to be fair to him. But now at this stage of his career, he's doing action films like he's Liam Neeson, you know, or he's doing films regarding race, you know, and maybe they're personal pet projects for him, but he's doing films regarding race, or he's doing those Equalizer type films, right? So Will Smith was doing, you know, he was able to paint a positive picture of the Williams dad, Richard Williams. He was able to do that. He had the license to do that. He was able to do that with Muhammad Ali. You know, he was able to take the best black characters and take them to the masses and show people the layers that these people had as individuals. And then he slapped Chris Rock and then reinforced the negative stereotype. That's why I was so unhappy about it. So I think that just putting it back into media and film and television or whatever it might be, that until commissioners are showing us in every light, I'm disappointed to see that in the main, and there are comedies and there are other shows, you know, it's not that, but the bigger shows that we create are ones with negative black stereotypes.
We don't help ourselves in that sense.
Well, listen, we have to. Again, I think we do help ourselves by creating that art, because it shows that we can make amazing TV shows that are popular to the masses, and hopefully others get the chance to make shows that aren't about that off the basis of, well, just because I'm black doesn't mean I'm not going to make a successful show. Because look at what X and Y did. I think they're amazing things to have created, but I just, again, hate that negative stereotype being something that's so popular when I don't see the positive stereotypes being equally popular. That being said, shows like Blackish, My Wife and Kids when we were younger, that showed, you know, a middle-class black family, they are also important. I just don't know if they've transcended to being as popular with people who are not black.